What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Green Beans Go channel. It's your host, me, here to talk about Week 15 in the NFL. There are no bye weeks this week. Some teams have already been eliminated from the playoffs. We are in the home stretch, which is a little bit sad. I feel like this has been a very bizarre year, so hopefully you've enjoyed it. If not, thanks for sticking with me anyway. Our tush push last week, Bills minus 5.5. Wouldn't you know, they won by exactly 5. Jags got the win against the Colts thanks to Daniel Jones going down early and Riley Leonard getting injured even later in the game. So we cashed that. Bears money line, they had a 4th and goal to win the game. They couldn't convert. And unfortunately, if you were watching that, Caleb Williams was playing really well for as much pressure as he was seeing all day. But unfortunately, he missed Cole Kmet, who I think ran a great route on 4th down. So a little disappointing there. And we may have lost all these. We definitely lost the under in the Seattle-Atlanta game, definitely lost the under in Indy, and we may have gotten the under in Cincinnati. But otherwise, not the greatest week. Hooked on that, won that, 4th and goal, lost on that, and this wasn't close. So we'll go ahead and look at this week. Like I said, all games are in action. All teams are in action this week, so we'll get going through this. Tonight's game, Thursday, is the NFC South, and I have highlighted the teams in red who have already been eliminated from the playoffs. I don't know why I decided to not say those words correctly, but regardless, Tampa Bay is a 4.5-point favorite in this game. Mike Evans is back. Mike Evans should return tonight. I never know how much they're going to be used in instances where they've been so injured for so long. So while he is Baker Mayfield's favorite target, your guess is as good as mine about how much action he sees. Tampa Bay is on my do not trust list after their loss last week against the Saints at home in a game that they needed to win with Carolina right on their heels. So they get another divisional matchup on a short week. In some ways, I think that's good because it can help them get the taste out of their mouth. But in some ways, these teams have each other's number. Over 43.5 is where I lean. I'm going to go Tampa Bay money line, and I would go Tampa Bay minus 4.5. But understand, I will probably not put any dollars on this game. Bears and Cleveland. Cleveland looked good with Shedeur Sanders offensively last week, which if you look at their data, red in both, they've been pretty poor offensively. They put up 30-some points. They took Shedeur Sanders out on the 2-point attempt to win the game. For some reason, they ran a really bizarre trick play, and they did not convert. So they lost to the Tennessee Titans, which is quite embarrassing. Chicago, like we mentioned, was in a barn burner against Green Bay. I think the over is the side here. I think both of these defenses have weakness enough that we could get some points. I lean Chicago money line, and I also wouldn't take them confidently. I would say that Cleveland plus 8.5 is the side that I'm on. I think Shedeur can do enough against this Chicago defense that's not great. And while Cleveland's offense has not been great, they looked serviceable against a Tennessee defense that's poor, and they get another matchup against a poor defense. So I lean that Cleveland keeps this one close in, like a 24-21 type of a game. Baltimore and Cincinnati, we just saw this on Thanksgiving. It was a game where Cincinnati, with Joe Burrow returning, they won 32-14. And now they're at home, and they're the underdogs, which is just a head-scratcher. Baltimore lost last week to Pittsburgh. We look at this first matchup, Baltimore did have 5 turnovers. So they got down, and in the second half, they abandoned the run, which is really what teams need to do if they want to beat Cincinnati. I don't love what I've written down. I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't touch this one. Under 51.5 is the side that I lean towards just because of how familiar these teams are with each other and the fact that I think the running game is going to be of importance, and neither team wanting to make a mistake is going to be the narrative. Baltimore money line, Baltimore minus 3. He says as he rubs his hand in his head and he has no confidence in it. I watched Joe Burrow this week in his press conference talk about no confidence. The guy seemed off. He seems to be frustrated with this franchise. Obviously, he's likely frustrated with the fact that he has had some really, really bad luck in the pros at staying healthy. He's supposed to be, and probably is, a top 5 quarterback in the league when he can stay healthy, but he's just not been able to do so, and I think he's frustrated. They're not out of the playoffs technically, but they're all but out of the playoffs. I believe they have less than a 3% chance of making it in, and they need a lot of help. If they can't win at home, in a game where they're favored to lose, or in a game where they're supposed to lose by 3, it's all over. So we'll see what happens. There's a little bit too much going on in this game for me to feel confident about it. Kansas City and LA. I think it's going to be a defensive matchup on both sides. We know Justin Herbert's a little bit banged up. They got the win against Philly on Monday night, which I did say I like last week. If you paid attention to that video, I did say that was the side I preferred. The defenses were the storyline in that game. A lot of turnovers, sloppy stuff. I see this one being very similar, and it's even worse because of the familiarity these teams have with each other. I expect a lot of rushing in this game. I expect a lot of punting in this game. I expect a lot of defense. So give me the under. Give me Kansas City to win the game as they really fight for their last hopes in playoffs. They have about a 5% chance to make the playoffs, so they have to win this game. And the Chargers, I think, do enough to keep it close. I'd take Chargers plus 6.5. New England and Buffalo. We saw this game in Week 5, 23-20. And in some ways, I look at these teams and how they've changed since then. The Patriots seem to have gotten better, seem to have found a rhythm and a momentum. And Buffalo has stumbled against Atlanta, stumbled against Miami, had some close calls against some other teams. But I look at the Patriots' schedule. If you want to do a little drill, a little side quest, after this video, if you remember, or even now, if you have a device handy, look up the Patriots' schedule. Look at who they've played since the Bills in Week 5, and you will notice that nearly all of those teams have a red background in this slideshow. In other words, they are all horrible. They've all been eliminated from the playoffs. So this is the first real challenge this team has faced since this team faced Buffalo in Week 5. I love the under in this one, under 50.5. It is probably one of my favorite plays of the week. I think both of these teams will be very conservative. I believe that both of these teams will rely on the run. I think both of these teams will want to control field position, want to control possession, and 50 is more about a shootout, more about putting up points, and I don't see this as a game where that's what the goal of both of these teams are. Buffalo money line, Buffalo minus 1.5. I think Buffalo does get their revenge on the road here. It's hard to go against a guy like Josh Allen who feels incredibly motivated, feels incredibly focused, feels like he believes in what he's doing. And when you have a player at the center of your organization that is able to do that, and I'm not saying Drake May and the ex-tenant Mike Vrabel don't have that, but there is a level that Josh Allen possesses where I think it spreads a little bit quicker, especially since he's been in the league longer and he has more confidence in himself and what he's been able to do, but also is hungry for more. Just think all that plays into the fact that Buffalo finds a way to get the job done. Then we got this disgusting one here. I think we got lots of running. It's weird to see the Giants as a favorite is my takeaway from this. No Jaden Daniels. He got re-injured against their opponent last week in Minnesota where they lost 31-0. Neither of these teams are likely playing for much. However, Marcus Mariota in his backing up of Daniels has looked good. Good enough that the Colts would probably take him this week if Riley Leonard can't go, and teams would be happy to have Marcus Mariota as a backup. And so I look at this and I like the under just because I think both of these teams know they can run on the other, and we're going to see a lot of clock ticking and we're going to see a lot of extended drives. I think the Giants probably possess a little more in this game to win, but at the same time, I can see Washington, after a 31-0 beatdown last week, coming into this game and doing something ridiculous and winning it outright. So I'll kind of hedge my bets here. Washington plus 2.5, although I will likely not be playing any of it. Philadelphia and the Raiders makes me want to throw up, actually. It's actually gagging me because this one is two teams that are on the top 10 list of top 5 list, probably top 3 list of just disappointments. Kansas City's up there as well. Maybe you could throw Washington in there with Jaden Daniels, but he's been hurt. Neither of these two teams have suffered drastic injuries. Brock Bowers missed some time, but it's been just a case of not performing to the standard. I'll take over 37.5. I'll take Philly money line, and from what I've seen from Philadelphia lately, give me 12 points for Las Vegas. I don't see Philadelphia at its current state beating teams by over 2 scores. So we'll leave it at that. Jags and Jets, I've officially puked. I've officially lost it, tossed the cookies, vomited, hurled, whatever you want to call it. This one's gross as well. I lean the over. I lean Jags money line, but I think the Jets could do enough to keep it close. It's a must-win for Jacksonville, given that Indianapolis and Houston are battling for position in this AFC South region, and I think Jacksonville has a layup this week. Hopefully they don't squander it. You may look at this next one and say it's a layup too for AFC South, with Houston being almost a 10-point favorite over Arizona. Roughly the same total, 42.5. I don't love, and part of the reason I don't love these is because I don't like double-digit NFL games. It's very hard, I believe, just anecdotally, for NFL teams to cover large spreads. 10, 12-point spreads always feel trappy. These are professional athletes. These are the cream of the crop. Any team can beat any team anytime. We saw Carolina as a 10-point dog win outright against the Rams a few weeks ago, and I talked about how that 10.5 just seemed too high. So anytime you see that double-digit number, unless there's some extenuating circumstances just out of left field, like we'll talk about in a second with the Colts, I don't know. The Cardinals have done enough offensively to be dangerous. Now, last week, they hung around for a half, and then the Rams beat them in the second half. Part of that, I believe, is that the Rams have a very fluid, very talented, very experienced offense. And Houston doesn't have that right now. Houston wins games by playing defense, whereas the Rams win games by doing both. So all of that to say, give me Houston to win in a low-scoring game where Arizona covers the 9.5. That's how I see that one going. Green Bay and Denver, two teams that have played in some games closer than I think they'd like to have played in. Denver coming away with victories in most of their games, their one-score games. But Green Bay has lost a few. Cleveland, and they've got another pretty ugly blemish on their card. They've looked good against better teams, and maybe that's where I need to focus, and possibly where I ignored some instances. They beat Detroit at home on Thanksgiving. That's a great win. They beat Chicago last week, who was technically at the top of the division. That's a great win. Whereas you look at Denver, not a ton of great wins. Kind of Patriot level strength of schedule, kind of rough opponents. So do that, have you wish. I'll take the under. I do lean Denver money line and Denver plus 2.5, but the more I talked about it for the last 45 seconds, the more I think maybe Green Bay's the side. So if you don't have confidence, if you don't love it, I'd stay off of it, and that's my suggestion to you for that one. Detroit and LA, this is awesome. We got a double revenge game with Stafford and Goff, who traded places 3-4 years ago, however long ago it was, and two teams that are rolling, two teams that hopefully are playoff bound, although Detroit, if the playoffs started today, Detroit would not be in, which is absolutely absurd. 6.5 points. 6.5 points, guys. 6.5. I'm going to say that again. The Detroit Lions are 6.5 point underdogs to a team in LA that just lost as 10-point favorites to Carolina, who did pretty well to beat up on Arizona last week. But Detroit is night and day offensively. Way more dynamic, way more skilled, so many more superstars and players and weapons and coaching and all the things as it compares to Arizona. 6.5, guys? I don't know. I don't know. I obviously think the mismatch, or where we're getting this price, is the fact that Matthew Stafford, who's having one of the best seasons he's ever had at the age he's had, which is crazy, is facing a very soft defense, and a defense that has not been able to stop anyone through the air. But I think Detroit can do enough offensively to keep up. So all that to say, I do think it's high scoring, but I think it's under 54. I think it's right around that 54 number. You know, like 24-27 is right there. I think you get a 24-27 game, and I think Detroit comes away with it. I think Detroit finds a way to get it done, but I love that 6.5, and maybe one of my top 2 best bets of the week. Saints and Carolina. Carolina should be playing for everything, and they'll know tonight how important this game is. If Tampa Bay loses, it's all the more important. If Tampa Bay wins, they have more pressure not to lose so they can keep the same pace. New Orleans just beat Tampa Bay. New Orleans is at home. New Orleans is finding rhythm with the rookie quarterback. And I think the one thing that keeps me honest is Carolina's defense has at times been good. They've kind of faltered here a little bit lately. But this one is another tough one. I lean the over. I lean Carolina to get the job done, but in a very, very close game. I wouldn't touch Carolina -3. We'll just say that. So good luck if you take that one. Last 4 games of the week, Tennessee and San Francisco. Tennessee obviously is coming off one of their only wins of the year, high-scoring masterclass against Cleveland. San Francisco's off a bye. But I think this one is pretty simple. Over 44.5. San Francisco rolls, and they win by that double-digit number that I hate taking. Colts in Seattle. You see the green for the Colts there, which is misleading because they just don't have the same players. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor could be a factor this week. He's got to be a factor this week. So this green may still be applicable, but they're facing one of the best rush defenses. Passing offense obviously is going to take a massive hit if Riley Leonard goes, or if Phillip Rivers goes, or if Brent Ripon goes. We'll see. We still don't know who's going to start, but they're traveling to Seattle, whoever it is, and they're playing in front of that crowd, and they're playing, likely a top, let's be conservative, a top 10 defense, but I would put Seattle in the top 5 defense this year. So I'll take Seattle to win. I'll take Seattle -13.5, guys. I can see this being like a 28-6, 28-3. I think this one's ugly. And I like to think I'm a pretty unbiased Seahawks fan. I feel like I know the team pretty well. Last week I took Atlanta +6. Last week I said the key to Atlanta's victory is running the ball. They did that in the first half, then they gave it up in the second half, and Seattle went away with it. So I'm not saying this as a homer. I'm saying this as a realist, understanding what the Colts are about to get into. Minnesota and Dallas. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. I'll tell you why this isn't good. It's not good for the GMG brand. The GMG brand has been hating on J.J. McCarthy all year. The GMG brand has gone out of his way to say how poor he believes J.J. McCarthy is. There's nothing exciting about J.J. McCarthy. And this game scares me. J.J. McCarthy found some rhythm last week with the defense in the Washington Commanders at home, and this matchup is just as easy. I think this is a high-scoring game. I think both offenses are able to do whatever they please. Give me Dallas to win in a very close game. I'll take Minnesota +6.5. And then your Monday night game, I refuse to acknowledge Pittsburgh is good. I refuse to acknowledge that Aaron Rodgers is good. I refuse to say that this is the best team in the North, but maybe I need to. They just beat Baltimore. They have found ways to get the job done. But I think this one's close. I'll take the over 41.5. I'll take Pittsburgh money line, and I'll take Miami +3.5. I think it's close, and I think it's like a 27-24 situation. FanDuel has a jackpot tonight, which means if you bet $5 on a player to score a touchdown, if they score the first or the last, you get to split $1 million bonus bucks with whoever else had them. Guys, I'm tired of trying to pick somebody nobody else is picking. Right? That's like the meta. Oh, yeah. The strategy is to pick a guy. Let's pick Tez Johnson, right? Let's pick the third string tight end. And if he hits, we'll get a huge payout. Well, you bet it, then it hits, and you get like $200. And you're like, well, Bucky Irving was paying $75. In some ways, the chalk is going unrealized. So I'm going chalk. I'm going Bucky Irving or Chris Godwin. If you got a wife who's got an account, some of us do. If you got a girlfriend who's let you logged in on FanDuel, it's against the terms of service, but some of us do it. Maybe I'm not campaigning for it. I'm not advertising it, but I will probably tell my wife tonight that she needs to pick Chris Godwin, and I'll be picking Bucky Irving, and we'll leave it at that. Now, the No Vig Challenge, which we are trying to complete, and we're not doing so hot, chat. We're not, but we own it and we accept it. One of their promotions is picking first touchdowns. You bet $5 on up to 20 first touchdowns, and you'll get $30 back. So you can go through kind of these stages. They have these little milestones in every 5, 10, and 20 bets. You get the cash that is corresponding. So far, not great. We talked about how half of these scored the second touchdown. Tonight, I'm hedging my bets in some respects. I'm going to go with Ibuka and Mike Evans to score first. So we'll just say this. I will be happy if Bucky Irving, Chris Godwin, Emeka Ibuka, or Mike Evans scores first, which means if you're still watching, you need to bet on K. Dotton to score first. You need to bet on Rashad White to score first. You need to bet on Shirling Steppard or the other Jalen McMillan or Tez Johnson to score first, or an Atlanta player. I'm taking the 4 chalky guys for Tampa Bay. You take everybody else and have fun when it wins. Come back here, comment, you called it, K-Dot, and there it is. Classic, right? So then I'll give you some more picks tomorrow for first TDs, and we'll start unlocking more rewards there. Check out Novig. It is fantastic. Use my code, and you will get a 50% purchase match. Tomorrow, we got touchdowns. Come back for that if that interests you. We'll also do NBA, and then we'll take a little bit of a break. So appreciate y'all very, very, very much. Sorry for the long video, but I do try to give you what I think you need to be more informed. Remember that I'm not going to have any other official plays this week. I didn't love anything. There were a couple of things that I said were my favorite plays. There were only 2 of them. The under in the Patriots-Bills game, and then the Rams plus the Lions plus 6.5 against the Rams. But otherwise, I'm learning that I overextend on football a lot of the time. And I'm going to try to lay off a little bit. So best of luck. Use this information as it helps you. Otherwise, appreciate you coming by, and we'll see you tomorrow.